And we shall begin our deep dive into the Lurker in the deep. I saw that. You know what? I don't know if I might have forgotten to put that on our Discord. I shared it over on the D&D time one, but the Jericho patron was a lot of fun. Some of the references went above my head, but I think I still got the gist of it. All right. You made a pact with an entity that lurks somewhere deep in the ocean, or even on the elemental plane of water, such as a mighty kraken, an ancient primordial, or a monstrous being from creation's earliest days. You serve as this creature's eyes and ears, watching the world beyond its domain and reporting your findings. You may have gained this pact as a member of a cult dedicated to the entity, or after your patron saved your life when you nearly drowned at sea. Now, this is kind of a complimentary patron, which could even, this patron could also be the same entity that creates an aberrant mind sorcerer by kind of, leaving that little bit of disturbance, of turbulence in your mind. That you get these psionic spells and all the other things that we explored with our sorcerer characters last night. The Lurker's clutches. Several features of the Lurker in the deep create tentacles or a maw that reach into the world. The form of these appendages should reflect the nature of your specific patron. For example, a Kraken's Warlock might summon great squid-like tentacles, serrated crab claws instead of clab craws, or a massive octopus beak, while the servant of a primordial water elemental might create tendrils or swells of living water. They are very flavorful in this playtest material. They encourage you to not just say, I cast this spell, but to have your manifestations come alive as vivid representations of just what is within you, or infecting you, or something along those lines. This does seem very close to Gulak, yes. I think they're trying to put this more in, a great old one is more of an astral entity that could live in the water, of course, but this is something that exists in far beyond in the far realm or in the astral sea, something that might manifest somewhere in the world. And of course, with chthonic storytelling and Lovecraftian style, many times because the sea holds such strange features, it can manifest as a sea creature. So thematically, yeah, it seems close to Gulak, but you know what? We have the Player's Handbook handy, and we can always go to Great Old One just to see. Also, I have the Xanathar's Guide open in case we wanted to compare to any of the extra splat patrons that exist here as well. Not that for a sense of power scale, we shouldn't compare splat to splat. And while Unearthed Arcana is playtest, we're gonna draw it back to the source, to the Player's Handbook. Alright, so we have an expanded spell list, and you know what? Because we're making a level 18 character, we're going to get to all of this, and I'll break it down. If any of you have that J-Man icon, I will break it down for you when we get there. I'll leave this up for a second as I put a link to... There you go. If you want to follow along at home, that's the free-to-download PDF for Unearthed Arcana. Thank you, O'Sheeps. Yep, break it down. And so... Oh, you know what? Do I have... Okay, there we go. I have my dice roller. I gotta reset it. Windows said, hey, you know what would be a good idea? it would be an awesome idea without your consent to restart your computer. And so I freaked out a little bit because I had some other work that was open. And of course it did it when I was up and away from my computer. Like I was sitting there because it prompted me earlier. And I said, fine, I'll do it later. And then it just said, oh, later means I'm going to do it. And you can't do anything about it. So isn't that lovely? Yeah, that's I mean, Windows 10, that is my qualm with Windows 10 is it doesn't give any consideration to you as the user. It's just, I'm here. I'm on your computer, and what are you going to do? Not use me? It's not bad enough I'm switching to either learn Linux or to go to Apple, but it's very annoying all the same. Your computer told you that the other day it needed to restart and asked me when I wanted it to be reminded. I decided to have it remind me in the next century. Well, hopefully it'll remember to do that because I hit later, and it's just like, oh, sure, later means you're consenting to it at a random time, not now. All right, well, surprise update. All right, so we have our character randomizer here, and wouldn't you know it, it so happens that I have a blank character sheet. Whoa, whoa. Who'da thunk? Yeah, I'll have to take a look at the extra details there. Where did I get this? So this was the brainchild of me when I first began. In my humble beginnings, when I first began to do character creation, and if any of the oldsters are out there who remember the very early broadcasts, I actually had a character creation sheet that I crammed everything onto one page on a Word document. And from there, with Bubonic One's help, it was turned into a spreadsheet that you can actually download from our Discord server. And then after that, as it's continued to evolve and content has come out, with the help of Trustaflump over at D&D Time, we now have this very pretty-looking character sheet. Hey, PV, welcome. Silver Pirate, you said, so small groups of kobolds try to break in my ship, but I put them in jail? Or were you describing one of your sessions? By the way, Silver Pirate, the current one-word adventure on our Discord is about kobolds, if you wanted to partake in that. Alright, so anyway. We're going to lift this up a little bit. First, let's determine, do we have a female character, a male character, or are we going to roll a multi-class and go again, huh? 59, we have a male character. That is the race of D9. Or if you like this, because a lot of them have a sub race, one or the other. If you go D10, you can just roll the D10 again. Pardon, for either of the options, and you just re-roll a 10. So let's do that. So we rolled a 2. We have a Dwarf, and we have either a hill or a mountain dwarf, depending on odds or evens. We rolled evens, so we have a mountain Dwarf. I'm going to roll on the balanced odds because let's, even chances for anything. Let's build an interesting character from, equal possibilities. We rolled a 64. Well, we're almost lawful evil, but we're going chaotic neutral. All right, so I think we have a couple things we can fill in here. We have a male mountain dwarf. Of course, dwarves are medium-sized. We know that we're building a Warlock that is a Lurker, and then I don't know what our exact pact is going to be. And that we're building a level 18 character. The reason we're doing that is to match the sorcerers, and the reason we're making level 18 sorcerers is that is when they get their subclass capstone ability. And I want my warlocks to match up for when we do our party spreadsheet tomorrow. And our alignment is chaotic neutral. Oh, sheeps, yes, it's just a little bit behind, huh? You know, give him 5. So we don't need to roll level. What we are going to do is roll to see if we're replacing any ability score improvements with a feat. 55, nope, we're going all ASIs. So, background stuff, you know, put it in the back of your mind for a little bit later. Now, which background is this character going to be? There are technically 13, well, there are 13, technically 18 different backgrounds that exist. And so I'm going to manufacture an 18-sided die. I'm going to hit the button and find out which one we are. 17, a soldier. And soldiers have a specialty, something that they did in a particular fashion, a rank or a place somewhere in the army or the service that they are in. And so with this soldier, we have 1d8. Now let's roll that 1d8. And so we are a soldier number 1. I don't know what the first option is, and it doesn't matter right now, because this is simply a placeholder for when we go in a little bit here and define the character further. While we're at it, let's give him 2 personality traits that are determined on d8s, 1 and 3. And now for an ideal, a bond, and a flaw, which are going to be found each on a d6. 4, 1, 3. 4, 1, and 3. All right, now, we already know our class, and we know our subclass, however, there is a class feature that we can roll. What is the pact that we have taken with the Lurker in the Deep? Are we a blade lock, a chain lock, or a tome lock? Not to be confused with tone lock. But of course, making a tome lock named Tome Lock would be very interesting. And you'd also have a hit song that would probably play anytime you're traveling from city to city. Not to be confused with Psylocke from X-Men. Probably true, because I'll tell you, axes. I was looking at X-Men and whatnot. Dwarves, and of course, what weapon do dwarves wield the best, right? Just like Psylocke, dwarves tend to have wonderful thighs because of all the lifting they do and carrying around heavy boulders and instruments of building and/or destruction. Or Grimlock from Grimlock from Transformers. Me Grimlock not be forgotten. Can't forget about those Dinobots. Come on. All right, now let's find the mountain dwarf here. There we go. Nerds from every corner here, and I love it. Yeah, well, hey, Diadems, welcome. That's what you get for being here, Diadems. You're annoyed that, what, the show Charmed is being rebooted? Or are you talking about something else? Now let's roll a percentile set to find out how old our dwarf is. Well, not specifically, but where in his life is he currently? We rolled an 85. That we have an old dwarf. So now for the specific age of our dwarf, we are going to manufacture a 59-sided die, and we are going to add 223 to it. Hit roll. We are 278 years old. So we're here. We're an old dwarf at 278. Now the base height for a mountain dwarf is 4 foot, and we're going to add 2d4 inches to his height. 5 inches. Nice and easy math. 4'5". Now we're going to take this 5, multiply it by 2d6, which is the weight modifier, and then add that to the base weight of 130 pounds. So 5 times 7 is 35. So he's 165 pounds, standing at 4'5". And there we go. Oh, apparently O'Sheeps is making tea for folks out there. I read somewhere that dwarves live to be 350, 400, which would make 200 to be like 50 in human years. Silver Pirate says, I have to be working a kobold artificer who wants to make the great fire to go to the moon. Okay, oh wait, so you're working as a player? Like you want your kobold to invent something that will take them into space? Why ask if you only have one kind of flavor? Rookie mistake. She was testing you, I guess. Kobold Space Program. Oh yeah, that's instead of the Kerbal. I like it, old port media. Alright, so we have our prompts for our character. We have enough detail to start coaxing him to step out of the mists of creation. You know, the great the great eternity of infinite possibility. And so we've plucked this one character who we're getting to know step by step. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, you know what? So we have this soldier. Let's go to something with... There we go. We're going to open up our player's handbooks. And of course, I could count on all of you to have your player's handbooks handy for a workshop, right? Right. So we're on page 121 in chapter 4, which is our backgrounds. Because I love starting with backgrounds first. Because we're going to give our character. We're actually going to be able to understand more about our character than just simply saying he's a dwarf warlock. You know, that could be cool. Like, oh, you know, how many people play dwarven warlocks? But that doesn't tell us anything about the character. Ah, but we're a soldier. Current? Retired? What kind of soldier? Well, we're going to find that out. Well, for those of you who have player's handbooks at home, you're welcome to join us. And hey, 12 for 10, good to see you back. All right, alphabetically, let's see, G, H, O, Sage, and after Sage is Sailor, and after Sailor is Soldier. Dun, 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 dun. All right. No shepherd. As a soldier, we get training in athletics and intimidation for our skills. We have a tool proficiency, which is one type of gaming set, and also land vehicle proficiency. So tools, gaming set, which we could randomly determine if we wish. I'll leave the 3 question marks there as a filler just to come back if we need to put some polish on them. And so, vehicles, land. Okay. Equipment. We get an insignia of rank. Now, of course, you should discuss this with your dungeon master about which organization you are in. The background prompts you, as a private army, are you a mercenary? Are you a part of a town guard? So are you the captain of the town guard, which would put you at, a private in the king's army kind of a thing, with all the training or experience you've had, but in your hometown, you're the big person. So the things to think about, of course, we're leaving that open for us to interpret as we get to know the character and as we see how he exists in the world and what could have led him to the point in time that we're going to meet him. Now, we also have a trophy taken from a fallen enemy, such as a dagger, a broken blade, or a piece of banner. And you know what? Just as we've done with the others, I think this would be an excellent time to give this person a fascinating trinket. This trinket actually may have been the thing that even led this character toward the patron. You fight a fierce battle, and you find, or you have someone who is going to report to you that, this is the loot that we found on the battlefield, sir, and as you search through it, you find that one of the enemy soldiers was carrying some interesting thing that then kind of made contact or facilitated it and put you on this path. Let's see, a set of bone dice or a deck of cards. So this would be the gaming set for which we're proficient. A set of common clothes. And a belt pouch. With 10 gold in it. And of course, talk to your DM. It doesn't say in here that you get your either a dress uniform or your actual military uniform, or unless that's what counts as common clothes. But it's something to bring up. Would you have your formal dress with you, or is your military uniform right? Just up and down, huh? All right, bye. Yes, exactly, Josh. Yep, it very much can. A lot of these backgrounds have overlapping qualities to them. A Warcaster Dwarf, where I seen that at? I'm not sure I understand, Silver Pirate. Alright, now we rolled for our specialty a 1. So we are or were an officer in this military unit. What kind of officer? This is still, it specifies something a little bit more, but it doesn't tell us too much more, and so we can think of the ranks that exist. And if any of you out there have a lot more familiarity with military ranks, who would be considered an officer and what their duties are, then as we're building the character, if something really resounds to you, then please shout it out. This is our character, not mine. Now, our feature is military rank. In short, because this is Player's Handbook, standard issue stuff, you can read this on your own. We can get some supplies, maybe even horses, or info, or access to, like, sleep overnight at a fort or something. Now it's time to delve into... Well, then you join the army, oh sheeps, if you want a horse. Especially if you want to be cavalry. I'm going to scoot the character sheet over some so it's easier to read. Because you can still see what I type for the personality, etc. And I want to keep the suggested characteristics up here. If you want it handed to you, well, of course. It'll be a gray horse named Platter. Sorry about one. My game I used to be in had a Dwarf Warcaster, but the details escaped you. Okay. Well, then, if you're reminded of a character, you're welcome to say, oh, you know what? I remember that this character had this, and maybe we could try that again here. Kitty Bird the Shiny, good evening to you. Hello, hello. No mysterious poof of smoke or glitter or whatnot? What is his personality? 1, I'm always polite and respectful. And personality trait 3, I've lost too many friends. And I'm slow to make new ones. So far, we're getting kind of a feel for someone who might be a loner. Someone who, over the years, is probably a retired officer, a veteran, and doesn't really reach out all that often. Maybe after all the fighting that he's done, you know, he retired, and this life found him in that regard. With a feature of military rank and being an officer, I wouldn't think this character would be anything less than a colonel. Uh, 12 for 10 is also offering lieutenant, captain, and major in abbreviated form. And Kitty Bird leaves chat only to poof into existence in a mysterious shower of glitter. Thank you. If I remember from MASH, everyone in the U.S. military who isn't enlisted is some kind of officer, but there's various types of officers: non-commissioned officers, warrant officers, field officers, and general officers. Encyclochameleon says, I'm slapping myself into a stream like this is the top of a doorway, and it's middle school. Oh, thank you, Kitty. Custo says, especially since you mentioned something about having possibly lost a lot of friends or troops in battle. Then, yeah, we can establish this person as a colonel if that's what the gist is. Now, what about his ideal? What is he looking for in life? Here we have another character who is who's not evil by their alignment, but has an ideal that at least the PHB is putting evil in parentheses, but it doesn't have to be evil. We'll get to it. Our ideal is 4, might. In life, as in war, the stronger force wins. And that could very well mean that he's had to make some compromises in the past. Whether or not he's wanted to, you know, to win the battle. he might have had to have done things like send his friends in on a suicide mission, or when you're given the orders of give no quarter, or you're told or that this is invoked to be some sort of battle of attrition, where there's no prisoners, there's no room for prisoners. In fact, if the conditions are harsh enough, you know, in winter time or something's going on, there might not even be room for the dead, if you get what I'm saying. Because people need to eat. Now, what about his bond? They can 12, if that's not a part of the mission to take prisoners or to interrogate them. Our bond is number 1. I would still lay down my life for the people I served with. So he has these memories of maybe his old unit or units that he commanded. And if he could go back in time and put himself back there, then he would still serve beside these people once more. However, those days are behind him. What do we know about this character that makes you think we should be using Navy ranks? Are you asking me? I mean, we could use Navy if you want. I mean, yes, there's technically Sailor, but, you know, whatever. It's aquatic in a prompt because we have the Lurker of the Deep. If we want to translate this into a naval officer, I think we very much can. Or you want to fuse the two together and he's a Marine-style officer, you know, land, sea, and air kind of a thing. Hey, Marlboro Man, there you go. Then this old dwarf could very well just be a, you know, could be an old Marine colonel. You know, he's been through it. He's lived and he's lost a lot. He probably has, you know, that pot belly. But if you ever looked at like a retired Marine officer and it looks like they have a gut on them, you don't understand. For some reason, that just like crystallizes into some sort of unknown substance that is sort of like adamantium. It's fascinating because, I mean, just solid. The Warlock is the Lurker in the Deep, more that a Navy officer would find one. That's fine. Now in Cyclo, if you just came in, we did roll that this person got a trinket, perhaps on the battlefield. And the trinket could have led this person to the sea, or the trinket, much like the others, by the way. I think we might be building an interesting storyline here with our backgrounds that are randomly giving us trinkets. The trinket could have led this old land soldier down that path too. But hey, you know what? This is our character. We're going to have all sorts of fun with him. Hey, Grimvex, welcome. I know I spent time on a Navy ship even when I was in the Army on the redeployment. Yeah, exactly. So you don't have to be just Navy to have been on the sea or to seen things. I mean, so Custos, you know... being at sea and perhaps, you know, not getting the naval training per se, you know, you would have your own unique experience. You might see things that, you might have seen things that the sailors were just like, yeah, that's every day, but maybe it meant something more to you because it was a very unique experience. So yeah, we can, you know, whatever branch style that we want to assign to him, we still can. Marlboro Man says, a little known fact, the Army has more ships than the Navy. Now, our flaw as a character is number 3. I will never fully trust anyone other than myself. And what is interesting about this, number 1, I think it plays very well into who he is, or rather even who he was and what he's been through. We could even apply this to the fact that while he does have a pact with a patron, there may be this distrust. Maybe even similar in style when he received orders from on high from others that he had to carry out that he didn't like. But he was there and he was doing what needed to be done in those circumstances. Josh says, I'm looking at U.S. naval ranks. Everything from E4 and above is identical to Star Trek ranks. That's because Gene Roddenberry was a big old Navy nerd. And from that time period, the inspiration for Star Trek was effectively to make it a submarine combat drama. But it was in space. Also, I learned that Commodore was abolished in '83. I did not know that. Chameleon says, yeah, you can be on a ship, but just thinking of chances and odds, someone more often at sea would be more likely to encounter this type of patron. But then again, adventures don't really conform to odds. You could be looking in the old swimming hole, right? Maybe he served and he retired to his home village. And he went out for a moonlight dip one time because he needed to cool down. Like something might have heated him up. And so you got this dwarf kind of goes and, trundles over. That's a very good word, by the way. Trundles over to the old swimming hole, and suddenly, he does a cannonball into the swimming hole, and he comes up, and he's in the middle of an infinite lake, and there's in the middle of an eye of a hurricane, and he's been transported to another place to speak to someone. Yeah, a comrade could have trusted, which might infer a higher up from his past, because he really seems to care about the people that were underneath him in his command. Not that he couldn't have still been betrayed. But I like that you all are thinking about this. We're building our character, and we haven't even talked about Warlock stuff. We haven't even talked about stats and spells. Yeah, like a rival of equal rank, Grimvex. That awkward moment you go for a casual swim and end up through a vortex speaking to a higher being. Yeah, I hate it when that happens. Something about Black Ops. Get orders more often. It didn't really go along with his personal code of ethics, but he had to perform the duties assigned to his post. See, now you brought up something interesting, Custos Lupus. If you want to talk about how could someone from the army get involved with, I was about to say a great old one, which kinda, a lurker in the deep. Black Ops. End of Indiana Jones and Raiders of the Lost Ark. We have our top men working on this. Meanwhile, Warehouse 13 is getting filled with all kinds of spoopy stuff. Black Ops stuff. SCP style stuff. His patron's the Lady of the Lake. You know what? Encyclochameleon? A lurker in the deep could very well be the Lady of the Lake. Yeah, thank you for the accent. Top men. Good day, Dr. Jones. Think about it. Encyclo, if we rolled up a blade lock, we have someone hanging around in puddles distributing swords. I'm throwing that out there. The Lady of the Lake, as you brought up, could very well be a lurker in the deep. Scuba salvage engineers? Well, yeah, look at the Army Corps of Engineers. All right, so this is our personality. I'm always polite and respectful. I've lost too many friends and I'm slow to make new ones. Might. In life as in war, the stronger force wins. Now, he may not be searching for this to crush people under his foot, but this is a realization that the stronger force is going to win. It's cost lives. I've had to be the stronger force. I don't like doing it, but you got to do it. I would still lay down my life for the people I served with as a bond, and I will never fully trust anyone other than myself. Oh, you were in the Corps of Engineers. Yeah, they do a lot of stuff here in Lake Erie. I think it's primarily about like dredging and some stuff with some of the ports. Thank you for the quote, Kitty Bird. I was waiting for it. Listen, strange women lying in ponds distributing swords is no basis for a system of pact magic. Supreme executive power derives from a mandate from the masses, not from some farcical aquatic ceremony. Thank you, Kitty Bird the Shiny. All right, so let's now go back to look at our... Well, let's look at our trinket, because this could also be a deciding factor. What trinket, what was a trophy he picked up along the way? Maybe he took it off a dead enemy soldier, or maybe... What if this was a good luck charm from his best buddy that died on that important mission that changed his life from that day forward? Oh, okay, Custos. Thank you for the clarification. All right, let's roll a percentile set. 14. The battlefield trinket that may be at least partially responsible for putting this character on the path he's on is... Oh, there we go. Number 14. And that trinket is... an enormous scale, perhaps from a dragon? There are certainly aquatic dragons. Blue comes to mind. There are dragon turtles. Or even, this is an enormous scale and from an unknown beast, and people can only fathom that it is a rare dragon scale, when in fact it belongs to a creature that is even more supreme or odd. Imagine that he found the scale of the Lurker. Yeah, it could be a dragon or a sea serpent. You're exactly correct, Encyclo. Like a measuring scale. Nessie. Nessie could be a Lurker in the deep. A Leopleurodon. And once more, my friends, not only do we get a background that encourages a trinket, the trinket on a percentile roll leads us very strongly into perhaps where we're going with this subclass. If this isn't eerie to all of you, kind of gives you the tingles, a little bit of the shimmy shakes, I don't know what will. Because as we say around here, Encyclopedia, it writes itself. It was a completely random number generation, and yet here we have someone who found the scale of the Lurker in the deep. That's it, Josh. The humor, we could still enjoy humor, though. Yeah, could be a Kraken. An Aboleth as well. Well, hopefully we can entertain you tonight, Kitty, and give you a little bit of oomph. A little bit of oomph back. So an enormous scale, perhaps from a dragon. Is enormous something like he had it modified into a breastplate? Is enormous something else? We'll see. Now let's find out who he is as a Dwarf. All dwarves are going to get a con increase of 2. We already have our age, alignment, and size. Our speed is 25 feet, giving us 12 climb, 12 swim, 0 fly. We do get 60 feet of dark vision, so I'll fill that in next. And I'm going to... not just yet. I'm not going to scoot over the sheet yet. Dwarven resilience. We have advantage on saving throws against poison, and you have resistance against poison damage. So I'm going to put the poison damage. I'll show you, at least on this sheet. I'll zoom in a little bit here for you. So you see where it says IRV for immunities, resistances, and vulnerabilities? I'd simply click that. And then down here, this is versus poison. And we have Dwarven combat training. We have proficiency with the battle axe, hand axe, throwing hammer, and warhammer, which is interesting because warlocks normally don't get these proficiencies, which means that we're going to be an interesting warlock, you know, that we could stroll into combat with some arms and armor. And I say armor because mountain dwarves get dwarven armor training. You have proficiency with light and medium armor, and light or medium armor. So weapons, we have a battle / hand axe, as well as throwing, or I think they call it a light hammer, and a war hammer. And then, of course, I'm looking a little bit ahead. We get simple weapons from being a warlock. We're going to get tool proficiencies. You gain proficiency with the artisan's tools of your choice. Smith's tools, brewer supplies, or mason's tools. Now, if we have a character like this, I'm fine with either of those three options. Though I do like to pause here when we make a dwarf and encourage you to think about your dwarf. In a very craft-based society, but is it possible that you could have grown up as your clan's carpenter? And so instead you can ask your dungeon master to give you carpenter's tools proficiency? Well, with that in mind, if we take a look at Smith's tools, brewer supplies, or mason's tools, I would imagine that we're proficient with Smith's tools. If we're a commander in an army unit, and we need to keep arms and armor going, as well as be able to, you know, make or replace broken wagon parts or horseshoes and stuff. Despite him being an officer, he may, especially to do uniform checks, to do equipment checks, to make sure that, because he cares about his soldiers, I would argue that he would have Smith's tools as a proficiency. Silver Pirate, you're taking off. Have a great night. Let's see. Could be a Kraken as well. That says... Krakens are... They could be whatever you want them to be. The monster manual kind of leaves them general in description. Half Aboleth, half Kraken. Kind of a Cthulhu vibe. Yes, Grimvex. Custo says, may not be any kind of dragon, but a scaled beast of the deep. That was mistaken. Yeah, due to its size. Yeah, because people can comprehend dragons, even though they're scary, but they can't comprehend whatever this thing is. And so that's the closest they can get, is already a mythical being. A Warhammer-wielding warlock, and the Warhammer is a giant shell. You know what? Or the axe. The axe could even be the scale of this thing that is wielded. Roll up in a battle and throw out a fireball right before taking a swing with a brutal warhammer. Brewer supplies, they make the best seawater whiskey, says Encyclo. Refry. So Silver Pirate's tagging out, Refry tags in. Welcome, welcome. What if the patron is a giant koi fish? And so what you're saying is the patron is actually Xanathar's pet goldfish that has been so imbued by ambient magic and is surrounded by countless tomes and magical items and wealth and books that the simple koi has actually very subtly become a lurker in the deep mountain, under mountain. So, Encyclo, you are correct. We may very well... I forget Xanathar's pet fish's name. If anyone has that. Siglar, thank you. So, yes. Or Silgar. Silgar could very much be a lurker in the deep. Why not? And of course, what is better? What is better to have be your patron from which you have a scale than a Magikarp that can turn into a Gyarados? All right, so we have our tool proficiency. We have Stone Cunning, which allows us some checks on stonework. Languages. We can speak Common and Dwarven. And our sub-race is going to give us a strength score of 2. And our Dwarven armor training is going to give us proficiency with light and medium armor. Lurker in the deep fried. Yes, you must watch out on Fridays. All right, so now we have our background, and we have our race, and of course we've continued to tell his tale through him being a dwarf. Now it's time to make him a warlock. And we're just going to be applying what all warlocks get. We're not worried about the patron. Although, you know what's something that we didn't do? We were joking about the Lady in the Lake being a Lurker patron, administering swords. I totally didn't roll a 3-sided die to find out which pact we're going to take. So under class features here, we have a warlock. I'm going to roll a D3, and we're either going to get a blade lock, a chain lock, or a tome lock. So a 3-sided die with no modifier. And let's roll it and find out. 3, we are a tome lock. We'll never have a Psylocke or a Grimlock. Sylgar is canonically known to die and be replaced periodically. Or is he? That's why I like that phrase. No Lady in the Lake, but being a tome lock, I mean, she still can, because, she grants knowledge and stuff. This could make the argument that it's Sylgar as the patron. Anyway. But maybe we can be padlocks to keep things safe. A very defensive, like heavy armor and shield training warlocks. Just nobody tell Xanathar his pet goldfish is not immortal. Yeah, that's Xanathar doesn't really like it when that happens, huh? Dun, 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 dun. I mean, if this symbol doesn't... Xanathar keeps getting these goldfish from the fair, and he doesn't know why they keep dying. Alright, now, as a level 18 Warlock, our proficiency bonus is a +6. We also are going to know 4 cantrips. Woohoo! 1, 2, 3, 4. Crunch. Let's see. We are going to have 4 spell slots of 5th level. Oh my goodness. This is game breaking. 4 spell slots of 5th level. And there we go. And the amount of invocations we know, we get that wonderful 8th invocation. And I'm going to reduce this down for uno momento here. Come on, you can do it, computer. These are just some PDFs. There we go. So we have, at level 2, we get 2. Then we get our 3rd at 5, 4th at 7, 5th at 9, 6th at 12, 7th at 15th, and our 8th at 18th. So let's go back and fill this in. I like putting this here as an indicator because some of our invocations do require a minimum level. Now, as you can retrain invocations between levels, I mean, nothing says you can't go back and retrain your level 2 ones to be level 15. You just have to be level 15 or higher for those levels past 15. But for, you know, the sake of accounting, this is what we're looking at. So we have 15, 18, we have 12. We have 9. 7, 5, and there we go, and our 2 at 2. All right, now being a Warlock, we also are a D8 hit die class, so let's make this a little bit bigger again. And as we're level 18, well, what a coinky dink, we get 18 D8 hit die. There's a lot of ads, Josh. You're thinking of a few in Cyclo? All right, next up. So we have we already have the armor proficiency from being a dwarf, and our simple weapons are accenting that with those we learned from being a dwarf as well. No tool proficiencies. Wisdom and charisma are going to be our proficient saving throws. Wisdom and charisma. And skills, we get to choose 2 skills from Arcana, Deception, History, Intimidation, Investigation, Nature, and Religion. Now, looking at this character's personality, I'm polite and respectful. I've lost too many friends. I'm slow to make new ones. And he is also old. He's over 200. I would say history, because he's lived through history. He's probably even helped to make history. So I think history would be one for him. I'd lay down my life for the people I served with, and I will never fully trust anyone other than myself. With an inquisitive mind like that, especially someone who received this trophy or recovered it from like a lost ally or an enemy, investigation is kind of hinting. You know, he's someone who is suspicious. Someone who looks into things, someone who pores over battle plans, someone who looks for advantages in battle because might, as in life as in war, the stronger force wins. So if you have other suggestions, let me know, but I think history and investigation are going to be 2 big ones here. Cold Spark asks, what would a Medi Morgs Warlock patron look like? If I were a Warlock patron, I'd probably look like me. I would look like, you know, an everyman, because your patron could be anywhere. Your patron is offering you gifts and is there to make sure that, kind of like a manager or a boss, that you're doing your job. Which is something that, this is anecdotal projection, but I don't know if a lot of Warlock players really play into the fact that you are an employee. You owe everything you have been given to the boss that has hired you, and you are on a mission to complete what that boss has asked you to do. And so, yeah, could you splash Warlock, as some people like to make paladin or sorcerer warlocks. Maybe. And, you know, in roleplay, hey, can you explain why? You know, why would your employer, you know, instead of getting you full-time, you know, why would he just let you, like, come in as you please, take everything you want from the office, you know, the coffee and the pens, and then just, you know, kind of get a part-time paycheck and leave? So there's so much roleplay potential to being a warlock, including the fact that your patron is an entity that is actively involved in life. It's not a detached deity like a cleric's is. You know, where you have to plead. The warlock's patron is there, is plotting, is walking or is around you. And so that's what a Matty Morg's patron would be. Is kind of an everyman who could be anywhere, and make sure that you're following up. And if you need help, we'll also offer you help. Not just that stern kind of like classic stereotype of like a factory boss or something. Your warlock found out your patron's is not who your character thought that it was. What, so you thought you were dealing with a devil and it turned out to be an angel or something, or? Endless Wonder. Hello, greetings to you. Thanks for joining us. All right, now I'm not going to worry about starting equipment. Again, sure, a light crossbow. We're also level 18. There's a point when a light crossbow isn't really as important, especially because I don't want to put the minutia in on the character when we're hoping to explore this subclass. Oh, an aspect of EO. Oh, goodness. So is that still, are you still counting that? Well, is that celestial then? Or what was the patron that you had then? Like, not specifically, but the mechanical patron. Celestial, okay. Josh says, in my setting, my player has not been able to contact his patron. There's some kind of barrier between my world and the plane of the multiverse's gods, to the point that the gods my world's religions are made up. Of course, the believers don't know that. So the agent, the warlock agent, is there to bust down the barrier. Where is that going to go to then, Josh? All right, so we get packed magic, cantrips. We don't know rituals, but that's fine. I mean, we will with the tome, but anyway, we're going to get there. I'm not going to list this down. Magic is one of the last things that we do. But we have our invocations, and of course we have that statted out here. We're going to have our packed boon, and we have pact of the tome. So we get a grimoire called a Book of Shadows. You choose 3 cantrips from any class's spell list. While the book is on your person, you can cast those cantrips at will, and then we can get that back. So we have Pact of the Tome, and we have cantrips. Tome is going to give us 3. And then we get 4 from being a level 18 warlock. 0, 0, 0, 0. Well, I'm here. I might as well fill it in. 4. Spellcasting ability. Spellcasting ability is Charisma. We are a warlock. There we go. My warlock would love to not be in contact with his patron, but they're always in their head. In your head? In your head? Zombie? E? ASIs, yep, we're going to get 4 of them. And, oh, Mystic Arcanum. So at 11th level, your patron bestows upon you a magical secret called an Arcanum. Choose a 6th level spell slot, and then we're going to do that going up here. So we are going to also then, as we have no spell slots, but we are going to get an Arcanum for each of these. There we go. And we're not quite an Eldritch Master yet, in 2 more levels, but what can you do, huh? We're trying here. Hey, I'm working here. Ah, so you speak through a pseudo-dragon, and hence why you can contact EO. That makes sense, Kitty Bird. I'm glad y'all out there are, you know, you're turning me into the cautionary curmudgeon. Like, oh, kids these days, they want all the glitz and passion from the Warlock. They want to splash a little Warlock in, but they don't understand what it's like to work and earn your spell slots. You know, you're thankful for the 2 spell slots you got. All right. Now, I know we still need to choose our invocations. However, I think this would be an appropriate time to explore what the Lurker patron is offering us, which could accent what we end up taking as our invocations. So, as per others here that you see in the player's handbook, you get expanded spells. Now, these are not domain spells. Remember, as a warlock, it simply means you can take these spells as a warlock spell from the warlock spell list. They do count against the number of spells that you end up learning. So they're simply an expanded choice, not a gimme, gimme, gimme. And as a Lurker of the Deep here, create or destroy water, thunder wave, gust of wind, silence, lightning bolt, sleet storm, control water, Everard's black tentacles, commune with nature, and cone of cold. Although, Everard's black tentacles, isn't that already? Isn't it already a warlock, or is that a wizard one that just sounds warlocky? Dun, 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 dun. Let's go warlock. Dun, 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 dun. Hey. Well, Everard's black tentacles is 4th. Yeah, it's not there. You have to be given it. But it is a wizard spell, so I was correct. All right. Commune with nature and cone of cold. Yeah, Custos, in my day, you had to walk 5 miles uphill both ways just to get 2 level 1 spell slots. Our patrons would rap our knuckles with a ruler if we stepped out of line. Grasp of the Deep. At 1st level, you gain the ability to magically summon a spectral tentacle that strikes at your foes. As a bonus action, you create a 10-foot long tentacle at a point you can see within 60 feet of you. The tentacle lasts for 1 minute or until you use this feature to create another tentacle. When you create the tentacle, you can make a melee spell attack against a creature within 10 feet of it. On a hit, the target takes 1d8 cold or lightning damage, your choice when it takes the damage, and its speed is reduced by 10 feet until the start of your next turn. When you reach 10th level in this class, the damage dealt by the tentacle increases to 2d8. As a bonus action on your turn, you can move the tentacle up to 30 feet and repeat the attack. You can summon the tentacle a number of times equal to your charisma modifier minimum once, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. So Grasp of the Deep is coming across as kind of like a spiritual weapon for clerics. Of course, it's doing its own, special thing there, but in a concept. Grasp of the Deep. And of course, flavor this. If you don't want it to be a tentacle, you want it to be a crab claw that, bonks people or cuts people or something. Have it be thematic to your character. Why not? That's right, and if you're a wizard, your hit points were a D4, not these mega hit point D6 wizards in 5th ed. This is Babby's first edition stuff here. And so, as a spiritual weapon, it's nice. It has it has reach, decent damage, and that that speed, that slowing effect, gives it a chill. Not chill touch. Chill touch is no hit point restoration. What's the cold one? Hey, Frogman, welcome. Yeah, clerics get spiritual weapons. This is and also hi 12-sided guy. This is kind of like a spiritual weapon, but with a deep lurker twist to it. It's the ice cantrip that can slow people. I mean, wizard hit die is still wimpy, a D6. What is this, Monopoly? Scion of the Deep. At first level, your patron accepts you into its inner court of servitors. You can telepathically communicate with any aberration, beast, elemental, or monstrosity that has an innate swimming speed, while it is within 120 feet of you. The creature can understand you and respond telepathically. Chill touch is the necromancy one where they can't regain hit points. It's the ice power cantrip that can slow people if it hits. Ray of Frost, thank you, Marlboro Man. Thank you. So we can telepathically communicate with any aberration, beast, elemental, or monstrosity that has an innate swimming speed while it's within 120 feet of you. You can talk to sharks and fish. You're kind of Aquaman in that regard. Sharks and fish and shrimp and crabs and other aberrations. So things like aboleths, although if an aboleth wants to talk, it'll talk to you. You don't talk to it. I don't know. You might encounter like a gibbering mouther that looks like a sea anemone. That would be kind of cool. And so you could talk to it if you want to listen to what it has to say. At level 6, we have the Fathomless Soul. Fathomless Soul. At 6th level, your patron grants you greater abilities. You gain the following benefits. You can breathe both air and water. You gain a swimming speed equal to your walking speed. And you gain resistance to cold damage. So I'm going to come up here and under cold, I'm going to put resistance, and I'm going to change our swim speed to 25 feet. Now let's see, we also get Guardian Grasp. At 6th level, the tentacle you create with Grasp of the Deep can defend you and others. When you or a creature you can see takes damage while within 10 feet of the tentacle, you can use your reaction to choose one of those creatures and reduce the damage to the chosen creature by half. After doing so, the tentacle vanishes. That's really good. And especially for a person here who cares about other people or wants to. I very much see this character using Guardian Grasp more prodigiously than the offense. You know, you keep it around to sort of bap away attacks that are incoming to the people that he wants to preserve. I think that's very thematic for him to do. Overall, though, I mean, I think it's a fun option. Josh has random unrelated thought. Why weren't Chaos Domain clerics called Divine Comedians? I know chaos doesn't equal funny, but it would make a great counter to the arcane trickster. Well, would you consider the arcane tricksters and trickery domain clerics are kind of two halves of the same coin. Oh, a name counter. Okay. Oh, you meant trick. Okay, gotcha. All right, Josh. At level 10, we get the Devouring Maw. Starting at 10th level, you can magically draw forth a manifestation of your patron's insatiable hunger. As an action, choose a point you can see within 60 feet of you. For 1 minute, a translucent maw manifests in a 10-foot radius centered on that point. Each creature in that area when the maw appears must succeed on a strength saving throw against your spell save DC or be restrained. Any creature that starts its turn in the maw's area takes 3d6 cold or lightning damage. Your choice when it takes the damage. As an action, a restrained creature can repeat the saving throw, ending the restraint on a success. At the start of your turn, if there is a creature in the maw's area, you gain temporary hit points equal to your Warlock level. Once you use this feature, you can't do so again until you finish a short or long rest. Devouring Maw sounds really good. I think it's early to say if it's overpowered, but it's a very solid feature for you to have as a Warlock. Great AoE, you're getting hit points off of it. You're also dealing damage, and they're restrained, and so you're limiting movement. This is really, really good. And it's kind of an extra... It's a bit of an extra... Hunger of Hadar. And I'm sorry, it's temporary hit points. Not hit points. Next up, we have Unleash. Unleash the Depths. Starting at 14th level, and this is the capstone for this subclass. Starting at 14th level, you gain the ability to call upon your patron for aid. As an action, you choose a point within 30 feet of you where your patron tears through reality, manifesting in a measure of its thalassic grandeur. Choose one of the following effects to issue from this manifestation point. Once you use either effect, you can't use this feature again until you finish a long rest. Transport. You and up to 5 willing creatures of your choice that you can see within 30 feet of the manifestation point are grasped by spectral tentacles and yanked through your patron's realm. The tentacles teleport you and the chosen creature to a point of your choice within 100 miles that you have visited within the past 24 hours. The tentacles then vanish. Or Fury. You can direct a barrage of spectral tentacles to issue forth and strike up to 5 creatures you can see within 30 feet of the manifestation point. Each target must make a dexterity saving throw against your spell save DC. On a failed save, the creature takes 6d10 cold or lightning damage, your choice, and is knocked prone. On a successful save, it takes half as much damage and is not knocked prone. The tentacles then vanish. So, Magikarp Silgar here, blurbs its head up from its bowl and can scoop everyone up in its mouth and bloop, drop it off somewhere else. Or as that same mouth opens up, you realize that our Magikarp Silgar is turned into a Gyarados and erupts forward and lashes people with its tail or whatnot. And there is a new spell that we can give to our sorcerers we made, or for a Warlock here called Mind Sliver. Mind Sliver. You drive a disorienting spike of psychic energy into the mind of one creature you can see within range. The target must make an intelligence saving throw unless the saving throw is success. Ooh, an int saving throw. Unless the saving throw is successful, the target takes 1d6 psychic damage. And the first time it makes a saving throw before the end of your next turn, it must roll a d4 and subtract the number rolled from the save. Interesting. It's a fun little hex to throw on someone. All right, so now that we've discussed all of this cool stuff that you're getting by invoking this patron, this lurker from the deep, let's go to our player's handbook and take a look at which invocations do you think that he would take. Remember, we're a soldier. We're an old soldier, a colonel, probably retired, or doing our own kind of private stuff. I'm polite and respectful, and I've lost too many friends. I'm slow to make new ones. Might, in life as in war, the stronger force wins. I would still lay down my life for the people I served with, and I will never fully trust anyone other than myself. I could make a solid argument that the Book of Ancient Secrets would be a good one for him, so that he can conduct rituals. But I don't know. He might be able to live without rituals. I think he's given a lot. Alright, so Chameleon, you think that Devil's Sight? Eyes of the Runekeeper, Minions of Chaos, Misty Visions, Ghostly Gaze. I don't know if all of those are in here. Unless you mean things like Gaze of Two Minds. So let's see, when he first meets this character, he'd be getting 2 here. I do think Minions of Chaos would be a good one, so we can summon water elementals. That's a level 9, so we'll put that around here. Minions of Chaos would be a good one. I don't know if he's really a shapeshifter type, though. I think he's comfortable in his form, right? He remembers the old days. You know, he's this old retired dwarf from the military. Would he really be shifting his form that much? And as for the altar self, he's already getting a swim speed and can breathe water, so I don't know if that's necessary. He can wear armor, so Armor of Shadows, if Special Ops Dwarf Corps. I kind of like Beast Speech. Beast Speech and the Devil's Sight can help with seeing underwater, perhaps. And the Beast Speech, while we do get it for aquatic animals, maybe this lets us talk to other Pokemon also. I mean, that's true in Cyclo, but we're hinging an invocation on the chance of a god dying, effectively. Hey, Grimvex, you're back from lurk mode. You know, work keeps getting in the way of you watching this broadcast. Do you need me to write you a note so you can give it to your boss, Grimvex? I'll excuse you from your work to watch this show. It was Beast Speech and it was Devil Sight. You can see normally in darkness, both magical and non-magical, to 120 feet. Write me a note too. I don't work, but I want one. I think one that would be really good here would be one with shadows. If we have a mountain dwarf who's used to being in underground holds, and now we have someone who might be used to being underwater, when you're in dim light or darkness, you can use your action to become invisible until you move or take action. That could make us able to observe. To be very wary and to try and preserve our own life or help preserve the lives of others. I think one with shadows would be a really good one for him. I guess I'd have to mail it to you, Grimvex. I'll have to make it look all official and everything. You know, if we have someone that is used to communicating with others as well as an officer to give orders, I would almost say Speak with Dead. You can cast Speak with Dead at will without expending a spell slot. And especially because we have someone who remembers the people he served with, and might even go back and visit those memories by speaking with those men and women. I can see as well, Sculptor of Flesh might be a good one to cast Polymorph, not so much on ourselves, but on ourselves, though we might be able to cast that on someone else to help get them out of there, or to make them be able to adapt to the water or land on or under which we're traveling. I'm also getting an idea that Eldritch Blast probably... I don't think Eldritch Blast is really going to be a focus for this Warlock. I do like... I think you said Bewitching Whispers in Cyclo. Am I correct in that? Again, we have someone who's used to giving orders, and so Bewitching Whispers, I think, would make a lot of sense. Yeah, I don't think we're going with Eldritch Blast on this Warlock refry. I don't think it makes sense. As well, you know, maybe Beguiling Influence is going to give us proficiency in Deception and Persuasion to also just make us that much more charismatic to try and save lives, give orders, compel people into or from action. Yeah, let's do that. So we're going to have Beguiling Influence, which is going to give us Persuasion and Deception. Yeah, Grimvex, I agree. A Chill Touch could work very well. In fact, if that is a... Let's go to spells real quick. Chill Touch, I believe, is... Yeah, Chill Touch for a Warlock. I like that. I like that for flavor. Absolutely. Especially because we have that slight, you know, through memories. We're practicing necromancy through memories, which has these small manifestations. I do like that the Chill Touch is the hand of the people that he remembers. I really do like that. So we have our invocations, and you know what? We have the chassis of our character. So I don't have Toll of the Dead because we're sticking to the player's handbook, because I don't want to compare Splat to Splat. I want to compare what we're doing to what the player's handbook offers. So that's a good recommendation in Cyclo, but I don't... The reason why I'm not embracing that is because it's not an option for the exercise we're going through. But yeah, it could be, you could flavor Toll of the Dead to be, you know, that harbor bell, or Toll the Dead could even sound like taps, or even reverie in a sense. Yeah, I like the thematic. I like the thematic take on it. Yeah, take spells that fits your character's background. Exactly, Grimvex, and that's why I don't think Eldritch Blast. Eldritch Blast would not be appropriate for this character. We're already given an Eldritch manifestation from our patron, from our Grasp of the Deep tentacle. And so we can focus on things that perhaps are a little bit more background in that regard. All right, so we have a 15, 14, 13, 12, 10, and 8. And we're here to spread this out as best we can and to provide 4 stat bumps at 4, 8, 12, and 16. We're so close to that 5th one, but we couldn't hit that next milestone, huh? Now we have this officer who gives orders. First and foremost, let alone is a warlock and uses charisma. But just the background alone is enough to put the 15 in charisma, especially because we can theoretically maintain that as we age. Arguably, it'd even get better with age. I think for what we have going on next, let's put our 14... let's put our 14 into... we have some problems communicating with other people. Right, I've lost too many friends. I've become kind of reclusive. I don't make new ones that easily, so our insight and such probably isn't that high because we just have these natural barriers up. I'm polite and respectful. I'd lay down my life for the people I served with. So we're more battle savvy. So let's go with a 14 dex, 13 strength, 12 con, 10 in wisdom, and an 8 intelligence. Frogman says, hot take, it should be balanced so you don't feel conflicted in taking that other fun stuff. And what way would you propose to balance it, Frogman? Can you expound on that a little bit more? Now, with this stat spread, then, we have a 15 strength. We have some old man strength. And a 14 con. Of course, we're talking about, remember that old retired Marine Corps drill sergeant has that, like, crystallized belly fat, pot belly, because you're indestructible after that point in time. And now we get to spread out our points here. I don't know if the extra dexterity is really going to do much for us in Cyclochameleon. I would certainly put 1 in charisma and 1 in strength. And so now we have 6 left. From here, I'd probably put another 2 in charisma and probably keep it at 18. And now we have 4 points left. I'm kind of thinking bring up Constitution to 16 and Strength to 18. We can wear medium armor, so we're capped out unless we take the feat, but we're not taking that feat. So let's put our strength at 18 and our constitution to 16. We can dump him into con. I think this person prides himself on his strength, though. Especially as a warlock, you know, people don't know you're a warlock until you reveal that. And so he'll come up with a warhammer and bonk you on the head, and you're gonna think that he is very much a fighter or whatever. I don't like it when people feel they have to take certain spells over others so they feel weak. Yeah, I do agree, Frogman. I mean, so that's kind of the weird point to warlocks, is a lot of people say, I have to take Eldritch Blast or I'm going to fall behind. When you are correct, and I would like to encourage all of you out there, if you want to run this character, go ahead. Eldritch Blast is inappropriate for this character. That is my opinion. That this character would not learn Eldritch Blast and wouldn't use it. I would... And look, do you know what else we didn't do? We are breaking 2 taboos. Not only are we not taking Eldritch Blast, we also didn't take the Pact of the Tome, feature, or invocation that lets us learn rituals. Why would this character learn rituals? He's simple. He gets the stuff that he needs to get the job done. Now, sure, we could always go through and retrain an invocation to be rituals if we really need it. Why not? But on the outset, we have this old soldier who he uses everything that he has. I think this is an extremely perfect loadout for him, and I don't think he's going to suffer for not being able to cast rituals. He's survived this long. Misdirection, perfect. I always use that. My Wednesday game I play, and my character doesn't know the difference between wizards and sorcerers and such. You use magic, you're a wizard. Yeah, see? We have someone who's rolling up on you in armor with, you know, heavy-hitting weapons. You're not going to expect that this person can also do all this other crazy stuff. This warlock we're building is functional. And I think you can have a ton of fun with him if you wanted to play this warlock. Absolutely. So strength is 4, dex is 2, con is 3, int is -1, right? We learned what we needed to in officer school so that we could pass. It doesn't mean that we know everything about everything, but we're decent at history and investigation. Wisdom is 0, and charisma is... I'm trying not to look at my cat's butt, but it's right there, so I have to lean around the tail in my way. Because his tail is perfectly blocking the ability score column for me. Yeah, thank you, bud. Hi. Alright, so strength saving throw is 4. Athletics is 10. Dex is 2 down the line. Constitution's 3. 5 history, 5 investigation, with a -1 in all these others. And by the way, I want to make a point. I guess this is a triple taboo Warlock. So, of course, the best Warlock. It's absolutely okay to take a proficiency in a skill that your dump stat is in the for the score. It is absolutely okay to have an 8 intelligence and to use, not waste, to use your proficiencies for intelligence skills. Don't be afraid of doing that. What that reflects is, so he doesn't have universal knowledge. He just studied those things rather well. And because the way proficiency bonuses are more important overall than, than just the... Sir, put that away. Than just the ability modifier, this is fine. He's still functional. If a check calls for someone to be proficient, he's still proficient. He doesn't have the maxed out number, but so what? All right, our wisdom saving throw is a 6, and everything else is going to be zeros down the line. But you know what? This is what our invocations are supplementing. If you take a look at our invocations. Now, charisma, we are a very charismatic old dwarf. And so we have a 10 saving throw, 10 deception, 10 intimidation, 10 persuasion, and a 4 performance. This is almost like what you imagine when you hear War Priest. Yes. You can't be great at everything. Like, sure, I'm not the best historian, but I like it. Low int, history proficiency. Exactly, Encyclochameleon. Exactly. And I do just hope that many of you, so we can call this like the triple taboo Warlock, that we have proficiency in dump stat skills, that we're not taking Eldritch Blast, and we also didn't conform to the invocation tax, where you're just naturally supposed to take the invocation that goes with your pact, because you don't always have to. Hi, bud. Yeah, we're almost done. I'll give you a snack when it's over, okay? Our passive perception is going to be 10, as that is our natural awareness. It's 10 plus your perception modifier, so it's 10. Our initiative is a dex check, so he is a little quick on his feet. He might have a little arthritis in his knees at this old age, but he can still get the job done. His armor class, well, it depends on the medium armor he's wearing. It'll be whatever that is plus 2. So, I mean, this is kind of X. It depends on what he ends up getting. Current hit points. We get 8 at first level because we're a D8 hit die class. So for the remaining 17 levels of his 18, we're going half plus 1, which is 5. Then we're going to add bonus hit points equal to the amount of levels he has, which is 18, times his Constitution modifier, which is 3. So when we go through and do this, that is going to be 54. And this is going to be 85. So this is going to go up to 62. So that is going to be 147 hit points, which should be ample for combats that he's going to be in, especially with him using that tentacle defensively. Oh, and so because warlocks are just innately taboo, it's actually not a triple taboo, but a sextuple taboo because of the innate multiplier of just being a warlock. All right, now if we're hitting with a physical weapon like a warhammer, let's give him a warhammer. Why not? It's probably magical or whatever, but just to get the point across, to compare against what we're hitting with our spells, we're actually going to be swinging with a platypus. Welcome, thank you. With a plus 10 to hit, and of course warhammer is 1d8 plus 4 because that's strength. However, it's a 1d10. It's a 1d10 because it's versatile, so if we wield it in both hands. You know what else would have been 1d10? Eldritch Blast. But instead, why are we going to take some crummy old Eldritch Blast when we have a Warhammer that we can hit people with? That feels a whole lot better. Now, if we're hitting people with our spells, we're also swinging with a +10. And to resist the effects of our spells, you need an 18. You simply add 8 to your attack modifier, and your attack modifier is your relevant stat plus your proficiency. At least I'd hope that warlocks are proficient in magic. That'd be kind of weird otherwise. The Warhammer doesn't get the point across. It's bludgeoning. Wow. Bud, what? I pet you and I take like 10 pounds of fur off you every time, and yet you just seem to tissue box more hair the very next day for me to pull off of you. Let's see. What else? Oh, by the way, he has a name. And so we're talking about him being... Whoop. A colonel. What is our dwarf's name here? Maybe, in fact, maybe he only goes by his rank. Or maybe I'm being presumptive and he wants to not have that be a part of his current life anymore. What if he doesn't go by that? So spell casting was an 18 save with a +10 to hit. And then one of the last things to do here is we take a look at the spells that we know. Right? Spells known, and we're going to level 18. So at the first level, we know 2 spells. So we come up here. So level 1. And we're going to get 2 spells. Now you see at level 2, we get our 3rd spell. But our spell can't be higher than, you see our slot level right here? This is our constraint. So there's level 2. Then 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then you can see from here, when we get 11, 12, and so forth, those spells known are going to be our Mystic Arcanums. Right, at 11th level, your patron bestows upon you a magical secret called an Arcanum. Choose one 6th level spell from the Warlock spell list. So at higher levels, you gain more Warlock spells of your choice, but can be cast, or that can be cast this way. So your Mystic Arcanum takes over, and so level 10 gets you a 5th level magic, and from there, you get this once per day Arcanum or Arcanum, depending on how you want to pronounce it. Perhaps a nickname of Trip. Why Trip, Cold Spark? In Cyclo, you just simply want him to be called the Colonel. This is 2. And by the way, of course, you can retrain your spells like you can your invocations between levels. You can retrain them up or down as long as you have spell slots for them. And you know, so if whatever this spell is that you picked up at level 8, and maybe you put it here, you know, in order, and you said, you know what, I've never used this, and I could really get a lot more use out of a 2nd level spell. Simply Control X and Control V this over here for a 2nd level spell that you took at level 8. There's nothing wrong. Or even, what if you didn't put your level 8 spell in your level 4 spell slot? Just put your level 8 spell in your level 2 spell slot. Have fun with it. Take the spells you want to play. Cast up. Warlocks are a lot of fun like that. You think differently about the magic you have. I got the idea because you're saying, oh, how he's a triple... Ah, okay. Okay, so in this case, so maybe we call him So that could actually be a part of maybe his command strategy. You know, he would always do the taboo things, and that kind of won the day, especially with that might wins the war kind of a thing. So he's like, trips. Good. You could always do something along the lines, if you want to stick to some naming conventions, many dwarven clans are really named after exactly what they do, right? The Smiths, kind of in our human history, they were smiths. Coopers made barrels. The Wrights, if you know a Wright as a friend or family member, or that's you, you made something. So if that's the case, if we want to have this fusion of earth and water, how about something like this? His clan name is Watercourser or Watercourser, because maybe his family were the ones that would dig and carve the irrigation ditches under the mountain to make sure fresh water was reaching the population. And so, of course, as an army commander, that comes in handy. You got to know where and how to dig the latrines for sanitation, how to find and get fresh water for your troops, and so water is very important. And so you have Colonel Trips Watercourser here. And if you still want to give him a first name too, you know, dwarven names, if we want to go, you know, are very very hard, bludgeoning sounding names, which kind of is the point. And again, we can look around here and this might work. Okay, so I'm looking at this external battery that I have, and the brand is Rav Power. So how about something, because we are in a, this week was a palindrome week, with the month, day, and year. So how about something like Ravar? R-A-V-A-R. Ravar Watercourser. Colonel Trips Ravar Watercourser. Honestly, this is looking ahead, but the Arcanum should be Eyebite. I would say an investiture spell, but I don't think those are player's handbook. I'm looking at my player's handbook, and I don't think the Arcanums count as spells known. Well, but here under Mystic Arcanum, at higher levels, you gain more Warlock spells of your choice that can be cast this way. So a 7th level, 13th level, 15th level. Because you don't have spell slots for anything higher than 5th, which is why you get 4 5th level. You know, if you've noticed on this character sheet, you're like, wait, why are there 4 dots for 5th level here? Because these are just once per day. Oh, I mean, if I'm wrong, because I've not gotten to play one, I'm open-minded to it. So that'd be 11. Hang on, let me go back. If I'm proven wrong, that's absolutely fine. I'll eat humble pie. I'm kind of hungry. I haven't had my dinner yet, so. Spells known on the Warlock table shows when you learn more Warlock spells of your choice from first level and higher. The spell you... Oh, yeah, you know, it could be... The spell you choose must be of a level no higher than what's shown on the table slot. When you reach 6th level, for example, you learn a new Warlock spell, which can be 1st, 2nd, or 3rd. When you gain a level in this class, you can choose one of the Warlock spells you know and replace it. You know what? Because bards, I know bards incorporate their any class goes spell with their spells known. You know what? I think you're right, Cold Spark, because it's specifically referred to as Mystic Arcanum. As a mystical secret, and it doesn't take a spell slot. So what this would do then is go back and apply a little bit more. So you know what? I believe I'm incorrect. I'll tell you what though, because I do need to go up and take a break. I'll do a quick search as well to confirm this. If any of you out there have a clarification, so that way, look, if I'm presenting this, I want to make sure that I know too, because I don't want to be like a dummy in front of everyone. Well, there's that one time, and then of course you learn from that. But anyway, I got to get up and take a little break, and when we come back, let's make our second Warlock after acquainting ourselves and touching on this again.